Good?
We are good.
Let me start this timer then. I didn't start.
Alright, my name's Tim Heerdink.
I'm Richard Fowler.
And I'm Anthony Geary.
This is Conspiracy 101. And for this episode, we are talking about the conspiracy of aliens and UFOs. So there's much to say, so let's get started.
Okay, well, I did some pretty substantial research on some like the past and early UFO encounters, and the Kenneth Arnold flying saucer sighting in 1947 was regarded as being the first to make the media. So that's only just the first one to make national television. What do you guys think about that? Do you guys think there's a possibility that they actually been reporting this stuff way before television even came to thought?
Well, wasn't it around that time when we started getting those early reports that a lot of filmmakers actually started picking up on the whole alien scene and making all the horror movies like War of the Worlds, and all those ideas came about thanks to the media?
Yeah, and speaking of War of the Worlds, which I do have the radio broadcast on CD, it recorded and aired on October 30th, 1938. So that's way before the Cold War, so you can't say, well, the Cold War and the Russians and the spies and stuff. People actually believed that there was an alien invasion going on when they were broadcasting it. They didn't. It was kind of a brief disclaimer when it happened. Oh, well, this is a production, but people didn't really catch on if they tuned in the middle, and so they actually believed that there was aliens invading the Earth. So yeah, for a long time now, many years, people may believe in aliens and may not.
Well, get this, guys. I did some research and found out that stone engravings of UFO beings were found in Central Africa dating back to 400,000 years ago, and that was found in 1879. So we're talking about biblical times. People were seeing objects in the sky, aliens.
That's much longer ago than biblical times. You're only thinking about 2,000 years ago at biblical times. That's 400,000 years.
True.
That's talking about, you know, really the beginnings of the Homo sapiens species as a whole.
Yeah, like with the cave paintings and the Egyptians' sculptures and the pyramids. And how do you think that the Egyptians got such a nice design for the pyramids? I mean,
Or what about, even more important than that, I'm sure you've all learned about Mesopotamia in your world history classes, and learned about how Mesopotamia was really the first real large human civilization. The first civilization with writing and mathematics. They actually put their writing in cuneiform, which was like clay tablets with small symbols that represented words and ideas. Well, a lot of people, I can't remember the exact name of this one expert who's been translating a lot of these cuneiform scripts, but supposedly they relate back to an ancestral species known as the Anunnaki, which came down and made people what they were today, taught them the ways of civilization, taught them the ways of their writing and their mathematics, and really just advanced people from, you know, the hunting and gathering small tribal scenarios they were in into a more modern civilization era that started back in Mesopotamia.
yes, and Mesopotamia is present-day Iraq, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Over in the Fertile Crescent.
Yeah. And
Not
now
only
we're
did
always
I
in war.
find some research on actually the engravings and stuff, I also found a really interesting article about, in 1982, a UFO-activated nuclear missiles in Ukraine. Now, if you guys remember, this is a time back then when we were going through the Cold War. We were about to go to war with Russia, and we were all ready to start killing each other, and shooting each other, and nuking each other. Well, this UFO appeared at the base itself, hovered over a nuclear missile, activated it, was about to go off, which almost started causing doomsday. And then all of a sudden, all the missiles stopped. And then the UFO just disappeared in thin air. So that kind of tells me almost that they are telling us, hey, they don't want us to destroy our planet, because they probably don't want to have to deal with all of us. Well, we need a new planet, or we destroyed all of ours with nuclear warfare. So that would be like their biggest chance to take over a planet if they were actually really hostile alien species. That's the perfect timing. Get them to kill each other off, all ready to start going nuclear war, and then boom, come on in, start wiping us out, Independence Day style.
At the same time, they might not want to contaminate the planet with such high amounts of radioactive materials either, because if they're trying to use carbon-based elements, that might, you know, inhibit some of their plans.
Yeah, so let's get in some more definitions with the word extraterrestrial. Extraterrestrial may refer to any object or being beyond extra the planet Earth terrestrial. It is derived from the Latin root extra outside, outwards, and terrestrius, earthly, relating to the Earth. So basically, just anything outside of this world. They're often referred to as aliens, not like a illegal foreign. I mean, yeah, kind of the same. There's aliens that are like coming into your land, and that's what extraterrestrials do.
Getting onto our planet.
Yeah, coming into our planet through what we refer to as UFOs, unidentified flying objects, which is anything in the sky basically. You know, you look up in the sky, something's flashing, don't know what it is.
Just anything that's not man-made, that's unidentifiable.
This actually reminded, you guys remember a few years ago in China when they actually had to close down the airports for several hours because there was an unidentified object flying over the airport. I think it was in Beijing or close to one of the main cities. It was all over the news actually. This is one of the few UFO reports I've actually seen on mainstream media, and it's because they had to close down an international airport for several hours.
Wow.
And you can actually find video coverage of that exact event all over the internet too.
Yeah, there's definitely been many reportings of sightings of UFOs, and some people just say, "Oh, you're crazy! You're seeing that." It could be a helicopter or a plane, but when you see, like me and Anthony, when we've been filming Beyond the Dark Paranormal Encounters before, we were out there by a cemetery, and when we were talking, you say, "Well, this has nothing to do with it." We were talking to the spirits about UFOs, and we even seen one. I think we've seen one that made like a direct like zigzag deal, and I'm like, no plane's just gonna go zigzagging around like that. That's that much strange.
And if you think that's weird, you know where we took our promo shoot out at Van Park?
Yeah.
Well, there's the tree line back behind the big gravel parking lot, not the one we parked in, but the one that's actually a parking lot that's been there for several years. Well, that tree line back there, this one's about 4 years ago. It was during my sophomore year of high school. I was hanging out with 3 friends of mine, and it was about 2 in the morning. We pulled back onto Van Park because we all saw the same thing. We saw these 3 intensely bright, almost the same color as xenon headlights, like a really, really bright whitish blue, a little bit more white than blue, but the fact it was still one of the most intensely bright lights I've ever seen. And there was 3 of them, all at least about this big. Like, I mean, I couldn't get close enough to them to tell, subjectively exactly how large it was, but they were fairly large lights, larger than any lights you'd see on any sort of crane equipment or anything you'd expect to see back there. And the thing was, it was right about the top of the tree lines, and it was slowly, listfully lingering to the left. I actually tried to pull up closer to it. I was going to get out of the car, walk through the trees, and check it out. But my friend Adam, who was with me in the back seat, started having a panic attack as soon as we started getting close to it. He started freaking out, threatening to hit me if I didn't turn around, because he's bipolar, and he was like, "No, dude, no, this is scary. I don't want to do any part of this. Turn around. Let's just go home." I really wanted to find out what it was, but thanks for having somebody who's going to freak out about it, I had to turn around.
And maybe Rich would have never been seen again and been abducted.
I'm pretty sure that when you guys hear the term UFO, a lot of people usually think of one place, that's Area 51.
Yes.
Roswell.
We'll probably go into more Area 51, but we'll briefly touch this subject for this episode. In Area 51, it's a Army base, military base, and it's top secret. You can't go in there. Even Jesse Ventura, when he was trying to go, there's a thin line, and if you cross it, there's a sniper looking at you that will put you down. No matter if you're the ex-governor or who you are, you're not allowed to step in there unless you're authorized.
A friend of mine by the ID name, I'm not going to give his name out, I'm just going to go by what he told me to give it by, Red Rocker 1970. He believes that they are actually hiding advanced technology in Area 51, and I kind of actually, I wouldn't doubt that.
Yeah,
They could have the cure for all of our illnesses there, way advanced medicine. They could have grays stashed there. They could have everything.
Completely advanced forms of transportation, perhaps even temporary or possibly time travel, because supposedly there's been reports of a United States vessel that supposedly went out of the atmosphere, and astronomers were watching it, and it disappeared for about 2 weeks, and suddenly it reappeared. A lot of people were claiming that it could be some form of time travel technology. Some people were declaring that it could be some form of cloaking device. But nevertheless, technologies of that nature, you know, you could have a high anticipation that they could come out of Area 51 being such a secretive operation.
Yeah, and the aliens could be helping create some of this technology that the government don't ever even really tell you about. I mean, some people, you're just oblivious to what's going on, like the NSA's, with them watching people and stuff. But like with all the war, the weapons are getting so advanced, and I'm sure they're having some kind of help because
Reverse engineering.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah,
I mean, just look at the way all of our technology has advanced exponentially quickly since about the mid-20th century.
We got cell phones now that are actually watches.
yeah, I'm thinking about getting one of those later this year.
I heard about this interesting story, and actually it all comes together with this whole topic here. Now, usually when UFOs are discussed, the government does not want us knowing about it. They don't want us knowing anything about UFOs that have crashed or been recovered. So they want the media to just tell us that it's an explainable explanation for it all. So I heard a story that happened in the 90s. It was over Chandler, Arizona. A big, huge mothership UFO went over the town. Thousands of people saw it, including the mayor. Well, the mayor decided the next day to pull a little stunt, which pretty much, to shoot down the believers. He had a dude who was the Secretary of State come in, and he was dressed up as an alien. Now, come on now. Thousands of people saw it, including the mayor, which he later on would admit that he saw it. So, what's that tell us? There probably is highly advanced alien species and other beings out on other planets, because we're not alone. There are millions and millions and millions upon millions of other galaxies and universes.
It's actually scientifically impossible that we're the only living species and the only planet that could support life in the universe. They've mathematically proven it that, it's impossible. The odds are too great.
I mean, okay, so we're one small little planet out of one, what's the word I'm looking for? The whole solar system, galaxy, universe, the whole universe. And,
Or multiverse.
multiverse. There's many universes, which is the other multiverse. To say that we're the only ones with life on that, the rest of the space is just a waste of space. I mean, you go and you look at Mars and all these other planets that they're finding traces of water on there. But who says that every species that lives out there needs water to live?
Well, something else I've heard is, I know we've all heard about the gray aliens, for example. Well, I've heard theories that they're actually known as an extra-dimensional species. They're a species that actually lives in a fourth-dimensional reign of existence, which means that when they temporarily visit our third-dimensional realm, it is one piece of them, of the fourth dimension, stopping. I don't know how exactly to explain this without trying to get too deeply into quantum physics that I don't understand well enough to explain for some audience members who might know more about it than I do. But nevertheless, the idea that they could be extra-dimensional beings, they could actually travel through time, essentially through the means of their own bodies.
Well, we got the Greys and we got the Nordics, which are the tall blondes with pale skin, blue eyes, and some of them actually are reported to be 8 feet tall. Now, there was a big, huge deathbed confession about one of the people back in the 40s who was actually, he was there when they recovered the Roswell incident where the UFO apparently crashed and they labeled it as a weather balloon accident. He said that he was a high commander in the military. They actually called him to go with a group of other militants. They went to this big, huge hangar in a military base. I don't know the exact location, but he said when he drove in, it was solid dark. The lights started slowly coming on, and around him were thousands and thousands of other great aliens, all standing on both sides. And then at the end, there was 2 of them that were actually taller than all of the others. They were like 8 feet tall. And they said that they were here to pretty much resolve a treaty. Now, what the hell is our government getting ourselves into?
I mean, the thing is, if our government's representing our species as a whole in an intergalactic measure, like just imagine how we have ambassadors who represent our means, and we have representatives who represent our words in the United Nations. Well, if we have one government in our nation representing our entire population to an intergalactic committee, I'm just throwing out an idea out there.
And look at
They
us,
wouldn't
bro.
want us to know about it because coming from an idea of such democratization in our world, you know, everybody's going to want to say in some sort of intergalactic program if we were to be taking part in one. Although simply we wouldn't allow everybody to be able to take say, and governments wouldn't want people to know about that because what if everybody knew that we were part of some big intergalactic treaty that we couldn't take part in because we didn't have the right to speak up for what us as humans want?
And here's another thing, and this is going on a whole different topic, like kind of goes with it. What you know, the Congress has been in years. Many of the people have been in there for many, many years, 40 years, whatever, and they just don't get voted out. Now, who's to say? Because a lot of these people that are politicians are, you know, sons of politicians and daughters of politicians, and it's just a family line. Well, who says that they're just not aliens that are disguised as humans?
Reptilian alien.
And they're taking over because the government is taking over a lot of people's lives these days in the United States and trying to get in everybody else's business in the world. So who says that that's not their way of taking over the world is by taking over one country and starting with the rest from
See,
there?
what I heard is through the grapevine is that they're called the reptilian elite, and they are all the world leaders are all part of the reptilian elite. They are a reptilian alien species that have the ability to pretty much morph into any kind of humanoid figure to disguise themselves. And there's a lot of reports of a lot of main like celebrities are actually part of it too. Because if you think about it, what better way for another planet of the different species of people to control another planet by having their species be sent to that planet to rule that planet as world leaders?
I've actually heard a theory about the reptoid species, is that they're actually, I've heard that they might be an originally Earth-inhabited species. Kind of like the locust from Gears of War, a species that actually lives in a sort of underground civilization. One that may have existed before we did, and has been evolving ever since some sort of cataclysmic action that may have taken in the past before we actually came into the scene. And you know, now that we're starting to intermingle with them as they come out from under the ground, we've established this big power structure, and them being so much more evolved than we are would want to naturally take part of that power structure, especially seeing as it's on the same planet. Even though they would not be surface dwellers, it still is their home too.
Yes, and to say you don't believe in other dimensions, like with people that are real religious saying that only, you know, God made the man, well, the demons and all the other supernatural stuff that goes on with it, and heaven's another dimension, so where's that, you know?
Yeah, because it's not just a physical, three-dimensional place. I
Yeah.
can't fly a spaceship to heaven, and if I can, I know nothing about the world apparently.
Well,
So-
guys, I ain't gonna sit here and bash religion, but I'm kind of really upset because I never got that phone call from my grandmother. Not trying to be a dickhead.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
saying.
who said they'd have electricity there?
Well, it's a heavenly place. Oh, it was
Maybe it was in a dream. Didn't you say you had a dream though? That's your phone
That
call.
was well.
Yeah, I mean, how do you expect something from another dimensional place of existence to contact you in your third-dimensional reality? They'd most likely contact you through your consciousness, which could be most easily accessed to your dreams.
Yeah, but
Angels are
but
messengers.
but if the Greys have UFO and high advanced technology, then that means all across the other dimensions would too. So heaven may actually be the party place to go. Just kidding, kids.
Well, it looks like we're almost out of time, so before we end this lesson, I just want to talk about this author real quick. I went to the library and found some very good books, and they're both by Jim Mars. The one's called Our Occulted History, Do the Global Elite Conceal Ancient Aliens? And so it'd be a nice one to look at. And also Alien Agenda. You can get both of these at any library or go to your local bookstore, and they're very helpful if you want to learn more about the topic that we spoke about today.
Plus, also we're getting good feedback on our videos, but we don't appreciate no Canadian trannies disliking our videos. So
Maybe they're aliens.
maybe they are aliens. Well,
Angry
guys,
Reptoid.
I'm Anthony Geary,
And I'm Tim Heerdink.
And I'm Richard Fowler.
and this is episode of Conspiracy 101. Class is dismissed. Trannies.
The subject of extraterrestrials has been included in films and books for quite some time now. It has been in the story of the War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells, and more recently, shows like X-Files and Fringe have showed how different supernatural beings from outer space can affect the world. They come in many different shapes and sizes, and they all look different. But um, there's no way of saying they don't exist. I mean, the universe is a vast space, so how could one planet have all the answers to life? Um, I think that the world is too big, and the universe is too big to comprehend. As you can see in this picture, there's a UFO. Um, anything that's unidentified flying object. So, I mean, just keep looking in the sky and, keep on the lookout.